in the world of sport, you have a lot of famous families, and one of them in Formula One, certainly probably the most famous one, or the most famous name rather, is Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, the most successful Formula One driver of all time, and regarded as one of the best motor racing drivers ever. 7 World Drivers' Championships throughout the span of a 20-year career. Absolutely incredible. 91 wins. At present, at time of recording, is the current record. But however, British driver Lewis Hamilton is slowly closing in on that. 60 pole positions, the second best all-time in Formula 1. But we won't talk about that. So obviously, Michael Schumacher has been and gone, and obviously, again, our thoughts are still with him. Obviously, as he is still on this long road to recovery. However, his new generation of the Schumacher family, definitely not forgetting Ralph Schumacher, of course, the legend that is obviously Michael Schumacher's son Mick. Now, Mick has been making the headlines for all the right reasons, which is obviously very, very good to say. And obviously, he's now pretty much next in line to obviously succeed his dad, who did a Formula One. But it's causing a massive debate, and that's why we're here to kind of like almost settle things, if you like. Give our opinions and kind of like give you the lowdown of like whether Schumacher is a genuine driver or if he's here just because he's called Schumacher. So obviously, as you've seen this week, Mick Schumacher has been testing for Ferrari, and all the headlines are Schumacher in a Ferrari headlines has been spewing all over Facebook, social media, Twitter, you name it. It's just been everywhere, and it's been like, yeah, all right, it's a good moment, but is it really what we're going to go and see? What we actually will see in the future, or is it just it's just a quick one-off? Schumacher in the Ferrari, will he actually be there? As like I said, only time will tell. But before we jump into anything, I think we should have a quick rundown of Mick Schumacher's racing career so far. So if you rewind back about 11 years ago, the young German driver, I think he was about 9-10 years old at this point, started his karting career in Germany and obviously progressed all the way through the ranks. His big move when he went to the ADAC Formula 4 Championships in 2015, obviously began his professional single-seater racing career for the first time. 2016, he signed with the Prima team, obviously still staying in Formula 4 in the same series, however signed with a different team, obviously the Prima team. Now, this is where his links to Ferrari suddenly started creeping, because obviously the Prima team, they're like Ferrari's real second team, if you like, even though they're not in Formula 1. There's room that might come into the sport, that's for another episode. They are really like Ferrari's second team, if you like. They're like the Ferrari reserves, as I like to call them, because a lot of their Ferrari Academy drivers, one of them, including Charles Leclerc, won the championship with them in Formula 2 and now obviously drives for Ferrari. I'm still recovered from that defeat, by the way. So obviously signed for them in 2016. At the same time, in 2016, however, he drove in the Italian Formula 4 series. Obviously, he was racing at one point in Formula 4 in Germany and then racing in Italy. However, he came second in both championships. So obviously, that was probably the first glimpse of like, all right, he could emulate his dad. He could match what he does. But obviously, he's still quite young as well. He hasn't really proven himself. But obviously, the signs were there quite early. Second in both championships as well, taking 5 wins and 4 pole positions in that time. 2017 saw him move a step up into the Formula 3 series, the European Championships. However, in 2018, the last season was probably his biggest season of all, when he finally won an actual proper championship for the first time, the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Now, this is the season I want to talk about just quickly, because this is probably the moment where Schumacher came into the media as a racing driver, because I remember obviously back in the day of like 2016, 2015, when you heard Mick Schumacher, but you only knew Mick Schumacher as, that's Michael Schumacher's son in the ranks. Like that's all he was said. But since obviously coming into 2018, or the end of 2018 when he won the championship, it was like, oh, Mick Schumacher is actually he hasn't done that that bad. He's proved himself. If you like, he's actually won a championship. So it's not like he's just came into the sport and just like, all right, he's allowed like 12th, 13th or wherever, then actually got promoted, and now he's in Formula 2 again. Same with the Prima team, and now a Ferrari Academy driver. Let's not forget that. Hence why he's driving testing for the Ferrari at Bahrain. So obviously, it wasn't really until the second half of the season where it all started to go, well for Schumacher, because at the first half it was all Dan Ticktum, a British racing driver, obviously part of the Red Bull Drivers Academy, who a lot of people don't like, and I don't know why. I don't really know much about this Dan Ticktum as well, but I'm very interested to know much about him as well. But obviously, he's quite key into the season. So Dan Ticktum did very, very well at the start, and then probably about, I think it was the German race when he started to pick things up as well. Things started to improve. Started winning races, got on pole position at Belgium. I think it was the first time we got on pole position that year, and then started to win a lot of races. Now, in a Formula 3 weekend, you have 3 separate races. I don't know what kind of races they are, but I know that you have 3 different races on the same weekend. and only a handful of drivers have won the so-called triple race, where obviously you win 3 races in that same weekend at the same track, whether that's Germany, Silverstone, or wherever. And I think Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen was one of the others that actually have actually done this. So it's like quite a big achievement to have in the lower ranks. So again, Schumacher again just showing like his ability as well. So obviously he's now part of that group that has actually done, won the so-called triple race, if you like. And then obviously, as I said, signed into Formula 2. Again, one step away from Formula 1, and he's doing all right, if you like. So that's pretty much a rundown of Schumacher's career. Our person is currently in Formula 2, part of the Ferrari Drivers Academy. Currently sits 8th in the championship and did an all right job in his debut race. Obviously, there's plenty of races to go, so let's not jump to the conclusion just yet, because everyone's tipping him for World Championship already in Formula 2. So I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon just yet. So obviously there's 2 things you've got to really think about with Schumacher. One is the surname and one is the racer. Now I'm going to talk about the surname just briefly, because one of the reasons why we're talking about this was because I seen somebody tweet basically giving his thoughts on Mick Schumacher, and he says that the only reason that he's here driving a Ferrari, driving with the Prima team, that he's here in Formula 2 is because of his surname. Now, immediately, yes, right, the name Schumacher, it's synonymous with Formula 1. It's so big that when you say the word Schumacher, it's like, oh, I know who you mean. Like, oh, did you just say Schumacher over there? Or if like, all right, here's Schumacher's cousin. Wow, Schumacher's cousin. Oh my god, like you were from that lineup. Oh, wow, that's like it's amazing. Even though it's like you might not have heard of him before, it's like wow, that's Schumacher's son, cousin. But now obviously Schumacher's son as well. So obviously it probably has helped him that he's in the Ferrari Drivers Academy. It has helped him along the way, where it's like, just give him the contract. Yeah, he's doing all right. He's Schumacher's son. But do I think that if he did perform really badly in the lower ranks, would he be at this stage now? My personal opinion is no. Probably because that he would get a lot of criticism from the press, because he is probably the most spotlighted, most pressure on driver that there is right now. Again, because of his surname as well. Because obviously that's going to add to that's going to add to the critics as well, and the pressure of himself, which doesn't really seem to be hindering him too much. It's kind of like just brushing it off, if you like. It's not like he's carrying away in the corner or anything. He's not like lashing out on social media. It's just kind of like, yeah, all right, I'm Schumacher, but I want to be my own independent driver. So obviously, yes, it would have helped. It definitely would have helped him as well. But he probably would have thought the pressure might have got him a bit too much, and they might have just walked away from it all. I believe that Damon Hill's son, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had a son who raced in Formula 3 or Formula 4, I think, and he got to a decent level, and then he kind of like just stopped altogether. He stopped racing. So again, he either fell out of love with it, or lack of whatever. He went on to do something else. I don't know what. But obviously as well, Damon Hill. The Hill name is quite synonymous as well with Formula 1. Graham Hill, 2-time world champion. Damon Hill, 1996 world champion. So it would be nice to have 3 generations of Formula 1 drivers under the name of Hill. But obviously that wasn't to be the case. So Schumacher obviously has, as I said, he has done well. Does he deserve to be a Formula 2? Possibly. I think he does. To be honest, I'm not gonna like as I said, jump on the bandwagon immediately. So obviously I am on the fence with this one. But I do think that he has proven himself quite a bit to be in Formula 2, but like some of the other drivers as well. But he does have a lot of attention, which does kind of annoy me in a way. And I think that it is predicted. However, one of the good things as well about Mick, that with him bringing a lot of media attention, is that a lot of sponsors will want to be on his car. So let's say he jumps into Formula 1, which we'll talk about later on. He goes with a mediocre midfield team. For Schumacher himself, it could be alright, but for the team financially, that could be even better, because all the cameras are going to be on. How's Schumacher going to do? How's he going to do in his first Formula race? Is it going to emulate his dad? So obviously the companies will go, we can make a couple of dollars out of this. So obviously they're going to bang the name on the car, getting the more money into the team, and obviously that'll be good for the lower teams as well. So I think the name would have helped him, but I think it hasn't helped him all the way to the point of where he is today. As a driver, he's won championships on his own accord. He's came second in like I said, the Formula 4 championships in both in Germany and in Italy. And another thing as well, he hasn't just jumped straight into, like, he hasn't went to like Formula 4, skip Formula 3 to go to Formula 2, or even just went to Formula 3, skip that, went to Formula 1 straight away. A bit like what a couple of drivers have done, such as Max Verstappen's done that, Valtteri Bottas has done that, and Danny Kvyat have done that. They've all went from F3 straight into F1 almost instantaneously, and that could be I think that's down to more money wise, but at the same time, still drivers with a lot of money are still in Formula 2. So obviously that's just like another that could be another reason. So Lyle, bring you into this one for the first time. just let us know your opinion, just real quickly. What's your overall opinion on Schumacher? Are you a fan of his, or are you a bit like, I'm not quite getting the hype, if you know what I mean?
No, I like Schumacher. I think he is really great. Well, firstly, obviously, it's great to see when drivers who obviously are sons or relations of drivers who have been in Formula 1 before. Obviously, Emerson Fittipaldi's son has been testing for Haas, I believe it was, obviously in the in-season testing in Bahrain. Obviously, before, we've seen Nelson Piquet's son. Obviously, we've seen Alain Prost's son in Formula E. And yeah, it is a really good thing. It is great that he is, Schumacher, obviously it's synonymous with Formula 1. And I do think he's a good driver. He, obviously, as you've said, he's been through obviously all the lower categories beforehand, Formula 3, Formula 2, trying to get to Formula 1. But the reason, so he's been testing with Ferrari, but he's also been testing with Alfa Romeo as well. And obviously Alfa Romeo used Ferrari engine, the feeder team, to Ferrari. Obviously when Charles Leclerc, raced for Prema, as John said, he went to Alfa Romeo for one season and then obviously went to Sauber. Now, he was a good driver. Well, firstly, I was going to say with Charles Leclerc, I remember obviously his godparent was obviously the late Jules Bianchi. Him knowing Jules Bianchi, definitely got him noticed as well. Obviously, he had no relation to Jules apart from obviously being the godchild status. But so he had no real relationship with Jules Bianchi, but obviously he was a really good friend, and that did get Charles noticed when he was in Formula 2. And I wouldn't say obviously that hype got him into Formula 1, but obviously again that was just a really good kind of thing to have on show, to say that he's a good friend of Jules Bianchi. He is he's doing all these things in the footsteps of Jules Bianchi, and yeah, I thought it was really great. To be honest, it did make it more exciting to watch him, and they made documentaries about him and his relationship with Jules and how he is he's at Ferrari, and he's even said in statements that him being at Ferrari is like when Jules should be a Ferrari, because obviously we all said Jules should be a Ferrari. But with Mick Schumacher, yes, he is a good driver, and obviously yes, he's been fighting where he wants to be. But at the moment, obviously, yes, he had a good race in Bahrain. Obviously, the opening round, I think it was 6th place that he finished in the feature race. He is doing a good job. He has won titles, as Jordan said. But with the testing in Formula 1, I just feel like, maybe that has kind of been a little bit rushed. Yes, he is a good driver, but yes, it sounds like it is the name that the people want him in Formula 1. And when I say that, I mean like it is a little bit Formula 1, and it also is a little bit the people as well, who want him in Formula 1. To kind of rush that decision. So, I saw a rumour. It was a statement that was made on Facebook, shared by a news article, but it was just a rumour, obviously, planned for the future, and it was saying that, obviously Sebastian Vettel, he's been in Formula 1 for 11 years now, 4-time world champion, but he does make a little bit of errors, and obviously he is looking to vacate in the next year or so, and obviously Mick Schumacher is chasing that seat to replace Sebastian Vettel. Now, I was thinking to myself, when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, fine, like Esteban Ocon at Mercedes, yes, plan him, yes, get him ready for that seat, but I hope that it's going to get to a point where Sebastian Vettel, when he retires in 2021, 2022, and he steps down, that's when Mick Schumacher comes in. I hope it isn't kind of where they want to replace him and they want to basically just get him into Ferrari because of the name. Because yes, as Jordan said, even though you've got all these sponsorships, which would be great for Ferrari, I feel like if they're just going to just rush Mick into Formula 1 just to get the name in Ferrari, because obviously Michael won his 5 world championships with Ferrari, it would be amazing. Formula 1, even though it's already in the stars, it would be like the name would be everywhere, and Peter would be trying to get famous off the Schumacher name, which I know that sounds quite bad and mysterious, but it actually is. That Formula 1 would kind of want to be a little bit exploiting Mick Schumacher and Formula, what's these races? Lewis Hamilton is winning all the races. No one really cares or don't think about that. Just watch Mick Schumacher, who finishes 4th place all the time, but just watch him. He's in that Ferrari, because 20 years ago his dad was in that Ferrari, winning the races, winning the championship. So I feel like getting him ready is not a bad thing. Wanting him in Formula 1, it is good, because we do want to see Mick Schumacher in Formula 1, but I feel like all the hype at the moment could just be getting to the point where if Mick Schumacher is in Formula 1, I want him to get there on his own terms, where he has a season, maybe 2 in Formula 2. He wins the championship eventually in Formula 2. When I say that, I mean he gets there on his own accord, obviously. Wins it with Prema Racing. So as John said, a subsidiary to Ferrari in Formula 1, gets promoted. but not to Ferrari, to Alfa Romeo, has a season or two there to work the road. And what I mean is, just long story short, what I mean is just to get promoted to Ferrari, you know, on his own terms, to get promoted to Ferrari the way that, you know, like, to either, you know, fill a seat but show that he deserves to be there, a bit like Charles Leclerc, because, you know, he didn't take I mean, no offence to Max Verstappen, but he didn't take a Max route. He didn't take a Formula 3 to Formula 1, you know, kicking the driver out, you know, Danny Kvyat, who we did talk about in our last F1 DS episode, so obviously go and check that out, because, you know, we will be making reference to that in this episode. So, obviously, Max did a bit of a jump move. You know, it wasn't entirely him, but he just entered Formula 1 straight away. I think a lot of people thought, does he actually deserve it? I know we did question that. Obviously, we questioned that in the episode 10, Trading Places, which is now 100 episodes old. Can you believe that, John?
Wow.
Well, I know.
Wow, I can't believe that.
So,
You said that 'cause I didn't know that.
I know, wow. So, yes, so obviously, Max Verstappen just jumping into Formula 1, but obviously he won in Spain, showed that he did deserve it, but that did come after he was in the Red Bull car. We didn't actually know Toro Rosso. Anyway, and then obviously Charles Leclerc drives for Alfa Romeo, does all of his credentials in the right order, you know, Formula 2, wins the World Championship, stuff like that, goes to Alfa, does a good race. I mean, again, it wasn't fantastic. It was it P6 or P7 in Russia, which was one of my favourite races, probably a lot of everyone's favourite race for Charles, showed that he did deserve to be in that position. Obviously, the stars aligned where Kimi did want to go to leave Ferrari, and, you know, Charles wasn't pushed into Ferrari. He kind of went there. You know, when he wanted to go, when he was ready, Ferrari wanted him. They didn't pull him in, unfortunately, like Red Bull did with Max. So what I mean is that Mick Schumacher, yes, it's great to have him in Formula 2 and that, but I just hope that, you know, people are stepping back and letting him, you know, get into Formula 1 when he's ready, and not just rushing the decision, because, you know, I feel like at the moment with all this hype, you know, it can get to the point where, you know, I hope, Schumacher could be rushed into Formula 1 just to get him in, and, you know, I don't want that to be the case, because, I mean, well, I've heard rumours, I've heard people talking, you know, on all these different social media platforms, saying things like, you know, Schumacher, Ferrari 2020 world champion, he'll replace Sebastian Vettel, he'll replace Charles Leclerc, he'll be basically, you know, ripping everything apart, he'll be in Formula 1 and he'll be amazing. And, you know, if he's in Formula 1, he'll be good. If he's in with Ferrari, that'll be good. But I'd rather see him there to actually have earned his seat. What I mean is, anyway, in 2021, 2022, you know, maybe replace Sebastian Vettel, because he probably is on his way out, obviously very soon, because he's, you know, been in for a long time. So, you know, just as long as Mick kind of shows that he deserves the drive and not just rushed into Formula 1 because of, you know, for the name and the sponsors and things like you said there, Jordan. You know, I want him, if he does a good job, which, I mean, he is lined up to do, you know, he's a great driver, but if he does, you know, if he shows that he's worth it in Formula 2, then yes, I think that he's going to be a good driver. He is going to be a good driver, but at the moment I'm not following, you know, a lot of people are. I'm not following the direction of what a lot of people are going in, which is Mick is the best thing since sliced bread, because you've got to, you know, take a step back and you've got to think, well, you know, he is a good driver, but so are they all. When I say that, I mean all the drivers are good. You know, it depends. It does not matter who you are. You know, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things like, you know, if the spotlight is on you for whatever room, it doesn't mean you're going to be good. If your dad is, you know, somebody famous, like, for example, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo's son, when he gets into football, which he probably is, you know, when I say that, he most likely is, when he gets into football, obviously everyone will be watching him, but, you know, it doesn't mean that he'll be good. And, you know, Mick Schumacher, it's like, you know, it doesn't mean that he will be at the level of what Michael Senior was, but
I think that's what a lot of people are expecting as well, because they're saying that Mick Schumacher is going to be a 10-time world champion. He's going to win 100 races. He's going to win the British Championship by 2020. And I'm like, no. Literally, Mick he's a clean slate driver. He's a brand new driver with just the same surname as as Michael. Obviously, that's all there is. He's not. I think it's like people are thinking that he's like a Michael Schumacher cloned.
Yeah.
They put Schumacher in this, like, you know, machine, like, round the clock back. Got it back to his youth, changed his look, shaved his beard, so he's you know, clean faced, and then just put him out there and just think, right, he's going to be Schumacher, but we're going to call him Mick Schumacher instead. We're going to say he's his son and everything, blah blah blah. That's what people are thinking, that like this is Michael Schumacher, only like 20 years ago, and it's like it's not. It's a brand new driver. You know, just because his dad's good doesn't mean to say that he's going to be good as well. So, you know, I am annoyed that people are just immediately jumping on the bandwagon straight away. I don't like bandwagons, to be honest, because I'm firmly on the fence with Schumacher. because I can see the good sides with him, I can see the bad sides with him. And I think a lot of people do need to be on the fence with Schumacher yet, because it is too early for him to go to Formula 1 without a shadow of a doubt. At least 2 years in Formula I think it's Formula E, that's a good one. Formula 2, definitely, because I think after one season you haven't really proved yourself at I'd probably say the highest level he's been at without a doubt. And there's a lot more attention on Formula 2 than there is in Formula 3. Because, a lot of us knew about Formula 3 because of Schumacher. Apart from that, I didn't really know much about the series, apart from the Macau Grand Prix. And so, obviously, a lot of us kind of followed Formula 3, and then we were all like, oh, I'm now going to follow the Formula 3 Championship, was really, really good. And now they're like, oh, I'm going to follow the Formula 2 Championship. So I'm like, you're just following it because Schumacher's there.
Well, the thing is, I mean, Mick Schumacher, you know, for me, is like, I actually never even heard of it. I'd heard of him obviously going through, you know, he was obviously on the top of, you know, he was obviously on newspapers and things like that, but again, I never really heard of him until, you know, he came from Formula 3 to Formula 2. It's really the name, you know, that's just, a lot of people are following, obviously, as you know, as we've said, you know, a lot of people are following that he is going to be as good as Michael Schumacher. Obviously, I mean, I know it's not a great thing to say, it's not a great situation, but obviously with what's happened with Michael Schumacher, you know, it can be said that, you know, a small percentage of people are probably, you know, kind of supporting Mick Schumacher to show that they are supporting Michael Schumacher, obviously in his situation, but obviously those two are not really related. And also one thing I was going to say about that, obviously, you know, Mick Schumacher, he obviously will be going through a very tough situation. He has, because obviously Michael Schumacher, you know, he's been in this situation for, you know, almost 5 years now. So Mick's had to, you know, he's had to cope through his career, obviously with his dad, you know, going through the problems that he has. And the second thing is, you know, not related to anything, not related to that incident, but I was going to say, like, I was watching an interview the other day with Mick Schumacher, and he didn't talk about it, and it wasn't about his dad, but somebody asked him a question about his dad. And, you know, talking about that, and a lot of it was in relation to, you know, Michael Schumacher did this in 2002, will you do the same thing? Michael Schumacher always had a great race in Bahrain, will you do the same thing? And he didn't actually talk about his dad that much. And what I was going to say is, like, it's not actually that clear that Mick wants to be remembered for his dad. You know, maybe he wants to write his own story. And I thought that's a really great thing. You know, what happens if, like...
He said that his dad's his idol. I think that's one thing he said, that his dad's his idol and that he's the best driver in Formula 1.
Yeah, but I mean, if he doesn't actually achieve what he wants to in Formula 1, let's say he gets to Formula 1 and he doesn't achieve what he wants to, which obviously is to win the World Championship, you know, let's say he only gets to Formula 2, he doesn't win the Formula 2 Championship, or he does, but then he doesn't get to F1, which I've got to say, you know, because of the situation we are in, we'd like to at least make him see an appearance, and obviously Formula 1 want him, but he goes to Formula E, or he goes to the WEC Endurance, and he doesn't get to where he wants to be. I don't think he'd be very happy to leave Formula 1, to leave his career, you know, 20 odd years down the line and say, well, you know, that's me, but I'm always going to be remembered for what my dad did. It's like, so I haven't really made an imprint in motor racing, but, you know, well, you know, my dad did. I'm leaving with 91 wins, not me, but my dad is. You know, it's like, he probably wants to write his own story and kind of leave what the keyboard warriors and what we're in Formula 1 are saying, which is Michael Schumacher and Mick Schumacher, the inseparable pair, you know, the brother and son, the written in the stars totally prodigy. This is really a Formula 1 love letter, isn't it? You know, Michael Schumacher, the most successful driver in Formula 1, is returning his son to kind of finish this story, and it's like, it's massive. But to be honest, I think Mick probably wanted to write his own story and go a separate way.
I mean, can you imagine this hype around or do you think this hype will happen when Ralph's son? I think Ralph's son has just started his single-seater career. I don't know if it was this season or last season. I don't know his name, but. So if he gets to Formula 2, do you think that the hype will be around him?
No.
Or do you think he'll be... It's one of Schumacher's relatives, because I severely doubt it. They'll just go, oh, look, that's Ralph Schumacher's son. Look, Mick Schumacher's over, Mick. That's Ralph's son.
Well, the thing is, Jordan, I was saying...
That's what it's going to be like.
I was just saying at the start, you know, there has been a lot, and there still is a lot of father-son parent... there's father-son parents, sorry. There obviously is drivers with surnames, you know, who have got drivers. We have some in Formula 1 at the moment. Obviously, Kevin and Jan Magnussen, Jos and Max Verstappen, you know, obviously, they're remembered, but they're not really remembered for what the dads did. Like, you know, Max Verstappen, when he came into Formula 1, and, you know, he was a different driver when he came into Formula 1, but he's great now. But at no point, and even when he was going through the trading places, when he was going through Toro Rosso, when he was going through Formula 3, and when he was going through the Red Bull Junior program, was he ever compared to Jos Verstappen? I don't even know what Jos Verstappen even has. I think he made a podium. I think he made a podium. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, he just so there we go, John. You know, Max. I mean, I think I heard of Jos Verstappen, but only when. So, for example, when Max Verstappen came into Formula One, and yeah, I didn't even know Jos, and I was watching a race review of something like 2001, 2002, and it had Schumacher and Barrichello and people like that against Verstappen, and I was thinking, what? He's 18. He can't be racing then. He's like -2, and yeah, so he's not compared to Jos. Carlos Sainz is not compared to Carlos Sainz.
Weirdly enough.
That is weird. That's a matrix. Like, yeah. Kevin Magnussen isn't compared to Jan Magnussen, and you have other drivers as well. As I say, Alain Prost, Nicolas Prost, but then Alain Prost is. I think he's still in Formula E. Nick Prost, but again, he's when he came in. So obviously, originally he came into Formula E. He did do testing in Formula 1. So actually, that's a good example. So he did do testing in Formula 1, and there was a big hype that he was going to get into Formula 1. Nick Prost, obviously the son of 4-time world champion Alain Prost. And he was a little bit compared to Alain Prost, but he never was. He kind of went down his own path. And as I say, John, there's loads of drivers who have, this kind of name, but they're never compared to the dads. They always want to write their own story.
I think that's only because that their dads did alright. They won the championship, they won 2 championships, they won 4 championships. But Mick's dad has won 7.
Yeah, but Alan won 4.
Much different.
Yeah, but Alan won 4. And the thing is, I want to say one last thing as well. Bruno Senna. I mean,
Bruno Senna.
But I mean, right? Okay, so Ayrton Senna is a driver who.
Prime example of this.
He's won 3 world championships. Okay, Alan's won more. Michael's won way more. Almost. No, wait there. Yeah, he has won. He's won more. Of course, he has. Lewis Hamilton's won more, obviously. But yeah, okay. Ayrton Senna is a great driver. We all remember him for being really good. He's not my favourite. Because, I just see that there is better drivers than him, and for example, I don't want to sound this in a bad way. People that did see Ayrton Senna drive, okay, fine, they might say that he is a really good driver because they saw him race, raw, like when, let's say our viewers are watching who were alive in the 1980s, first hider, Formula 1, we hear Formula 1 was better back then, is that true? So people that watched Ayrton Senna race, were probably thinking, okay, he's a great driver raw because I saw him. I know that he is good, and I think he's my favourite driver. Obviously, what we've seen on the movie Senna, and we, as I say, obviously, me and you, John, and obviously many of our fans probably have never actually seen Ayrton Senna race properly because obviously they weren't alive in the 80s, they weren't alive in the 90s, stuff like that. But when we watched the movie Senna, the first real proper documentary about Formula 1, it won, awards, and it was probably, I would even say, the thing that brought Formula 1 to Hollywood. Because I'd say it was probably one of the first proper award-winning documentaries that was ever made about Formula 1. Obviously, it opened the gate to things like Rush and the Williams documentary and things like that. But so when you watch Senna, you might have thought he was a good driver, but were you swayed a little bit to think that he's the best driver of all time for watching this movie? Who only won 3, and he has a lot of other obviously people that are better than him, like Michael Schumacher. Anyway, so Ayrton Senna, obviously good driver back in his day. You all obviously have your opinions on how good he is. But then I was going to say, John, Bruno Senna, when he came into Formula 1, he's a little bit different to the others that I was talking about, and a little similar to Mick, comparing him to Michael, because when Bruno Senna came in, there was a lot of comparison, wasn't there, between Ayrton and Bruno. Obviously it didn't work because Bruno, well, we know how bad Bruno was. Oh, sorry, we know how okay he was. He wasn't terrible, but he certainly wasn't Ayrton. But there was a lot of people that were saying Bruno's the new Ayrton, and I remember there was a lot of hype about Bruno Senna in Formula 1 because obviously he was the nephew of late 3-time world champion Ayrton Senna.
I think definitely Bruno was certainly the prime example of, right, okay, just don't hope on the name, because Bruno came to Formula 1, and again, I remember when he first came to Formula 1, and obviously I think this is the point of where I was just getting into Formula 1, and I just started to learn about the history. I knew who Senna was at this point. I knew he was well respected, or he was a legend rather in most terms, but what obviously Senna coming in, was like, oh, it's going to be quite good to see the name Senna back in Formula 1. I think it was with HRT in 2010, had a reserve driver Lotus in 2011, or Lotus Renault as we were called then, and then he went to Williams in 2012, Yeah, but the thing is though, right, the only thing about the 2012 season is that the Williams had a very good car, but it was so unreliable, it was quite scary. And I believe that could have hindered Senna's career a little bit. However, it was a bit of a shame not to see him, go, well into Formula One. And that was one of the things that got me thinking about Mick as well, because I always think that, right, if your dad does really well at something, let's say like your dad's like a world champion in a certain sport, and you come into it, you're expected to be just as good as him or even better. You know what I mean? So, and then 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be. However, if your dad was in like a sport, example, Jos Verstappen, who wasn't recognised at all, and then your son then comes into Formula One, you then go, oh wow, you're actually really, really good when your dad wasn't really that good. Like I remember, what I was going to say about Jos as well. A lot of the oldies who would have heard of Max Verstappen's coming to Formula One. Oh, he's the son of Jos, who was the teammate of Michael Schumacher back in Benetton. That's how he would have been referenced, not as Jos Verstappen. I remember him, and like that's Schumacher's teammate. That's how. So again, that's how synonymous he was, or how anonymous. Sorry, and so just don't immediately jump on the hype train just yet, because he needs time, definitely, and I'm pleased that he is getting time. But a lot of people are just, the expectations are just there, and I'm like, no, bring them down just ever so slightly. But we've had our talk, and obviously we post on Twitter that. Obviously, giving us your opinions on Mick Schumacher. What do you think? Are you all about the hype train, or are you just getting off at the next stop? What are you quite yes or no on Mick Schumacher? So let's start off with Lotus Raptos, who regularly tweets us on a regular basis. So thank you very much for watching. He says needs to prove himself before he gets to F1. Pretty much straight to the point. Yes, definitely does need to prove himself, especially Formula 2 at the highest level he's been. It's a lot more media media approach, if you like. There's a lot more attention on Formula 2 than there is a Formula 3, because Formula 2 is on Sky, of course it is. At Jordan F1 GP says most of the hype over him comes purely from his surname. I think he deserves a couple more races to prove himself, but I personally don't see him as an elite driver. Similar to what Lyle was just saying there about, yes, the name will get him there, but is it going to be quite good? Maybe not. Who knows? To be fair, we are fans of his, but is it going to be up there in terms of some of the best, even world champion? Obviously, we'll get onto that just in a little bit. At Nadal LH fan, obviously a Lewis Hamilton supporter, his surname is the only reason he gets any notice. Again, similar to what Lotus was saying there, and pretty much what Jordan was saying as well. Again, the surname, obviously, giving him a reputation. At Kid Loves F1 says seems like decent driver, but way too much hype. He needs to learn and mature in a low pressure environment. In the right environment, he'll probably make it to F1, but it is unlikely he'll be better than his dad. Michael was on another level. Like, that's pretty much it, really. However, being able to learn and mature in a low pressure environment, there's always going to be pressure on him. It doesn't matter where he is. Especially if he's still in Formula 1, there's always going to be pressure on Mick, more than any other young driver, to be fair. I think our driver certainly is Nick de Vries. That's like our love child, if you like, Nick de Vries. We've liked Nick since his Toon days. So like a lot of our pressure's on him. He's in his 3rd season now, so he's due for an upgrade very, very soon. But like for us, it's like pressure on Nick de Vries. But getting off topic there, but yes, like.
McLaren 2021. That's my prediction for Nick.
Definitely, come on, Nick, you can get there. So like, yes, I think it's going in a low pressure environment is going to be quite difficult. But I don't believe he'll be able to get anywhere near to what his dad achieved. Certainly in the space of time that he did. I mean, if he does, actually, I don't think he will, to be honest with you. But I'm not saying he's a bad driver. But I can't see him being at Michael's level. Only a handful of drivers.
Well, the thing is, John. I mean, obviously, Lewis Hamilton is demolishing the records. When we say that, I mean, okay, let's be fair, he hasn't in a long time. 2017, he beat Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher's pole position record. He's still chasing 91 wins. Michael Schumacher, there's things in Formula 1 that will never be beaten. Max Verstappen's win in Spain, he was 18 years old, so younger than both of me and Jordan. That will never ever be beaten. Charles Leclerc's young pole position record, that possibly could get beaten.
Vettel was his first. Vettel.
Yeah, I'm so lost. Yes, sorry, Sebastian Vettel. Yes,
a handful of times, but again, obviously Max couldn't do it.
Max was 2. Yeah, so obviously his last race was Brazil. Yeah, sorry, Sebastian Vettel. Yeah, so there's things that can be beaten in Formula 1. The things that never will, like Max Verstappen, and I don't think Michael Schumacher's record will ever be beaten. I'm actually saying that Lewis Hamilton, obviously, yes, as well as he's a good driver, and if he keeps going, I think 21 wins, that's, let's just say 2.5 seasons, and then he could have, if he wins all the races, he could have beaten them. But I don't think he'll get there. And Mick Schumacher will never ever. And you can even stand down. You can say he'll never ever be there because as one of your tweets said, John, Michael Schumacher was on another level, and that level will never ever be beaten. I think we are basically seeing the peak of Formula One. 2004 was the peak of Formula One, and then I'm not saying we're on the downslope, but that was definitely the peak of Formula One when Michael lifted championship number 7, and I don't think Mick would want to get there as well. Have a good season, win, maybe hope for a few championships, but don't think you're going to be Michael's record. I hope he and other people don't think that, because they're going to be really disappointed, because he's definitely not.
Yeah, I pretty much like that. I don't think that Mick should be really wanting to go and challenge him for like you said, his dad titles, because only a driver like Hamilton, driver like Schumacher only comes around once in a generation, and you are going to get drivers that will get close to those records like what Hamilton is, if you've got the right package, the right team, and the right ability as well. I don't think we'll see a driver like Hamilton for a long time, maybe the next 20-30 years. We might have your average driver here and there that might win 2 or 3 championships, get a handful of wins, 30-40 wins. Alright, that's good, but you're talking good, decent, elite, and Lewis Hamilton he is in that elite bracket, and there's probably loads and loads of drivers that are good, but there's probably 5-6 drivers that are in this little elite group, and that's what Chazza HC was saying when he was on the show. He was pretty much saying that when he was talking about Vettel, he was saying, right, I can't see Vettel. There's only a handful of people in an elite group. He would probably name 5 or 6. And he said Vettel wasn't in that group, and I definitely agree. After his antics at Bahrain, pretty much just confirmed that. But Hamilton's in that elite group, and it's only going to take, as I said, the next 20-30 years for another driver to be able to go into that elite group where he's going to get 60 wins or 70 wins or 5 championships, 6 championships. So he might go off. He might win 13, 14 races in a row. He might win 20 races in a row. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. Records are there to be broken. They will be broken. When will they be broken is another question. So back onto the comments as well. At Cafrol1 says people have higher expectations at the moment. First, let him show what he can do. Pretty much, going off the opposite direction there, just saying, right, he has got the talent. Just let him prove, and let's see what he can do. Now, our last comment comes from Niblo, which is actually the guy who was on the Chazza HC podcast on a regular basis. So, obviously, very much thank you for him for commenting on our show. And he says, was bang average until the second half of Euro F3 last season, when I was saying that he won. He didn't. It was pretty much Dan Ticktum doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden, come the halfway point of the season, Schumacher kind of took over and then just dominated the last part of the season. Where he was very, very good. Don't get me wrong. Solid start in F2 on the weekend. Will be interesting to see how he progresses throughout the year. Probably will need to be in F2 for 2 seasons, I believe. He then goes on to say, and then in the second season, he really has to win the championship if he wants to drive in Formula 1. Probably with Alpha. I don't see him challenging for the championship this season. I think we can hope. I think the best we can hope for in the few races is wins. Perhaps challenging for the championship this season. Well, again, that's the thing, though, right? Because at the start of Formula 3, a lot of people would have wrote off Schumacher and said he's not going to win the championship, but he did. So anything could happen. So the next 2 or 3 races, he could be bang average, and then come Silverstone, he could absolutely run away with it and then win the championship all of a sudden. It's is Schumacher going to be one of those drivers where, all right, he's decent, he's just bang average at the start, and then by the end of the season he's just on another level. So he's very unpredictable, where one weekend is going to be really, really good, and one weekend is going to be really, really bad. And he could be one of those drivers where he's good at one track but they're really bad at the next, and inconsistent. Unlike drivers like Hamilton, who's pretty much good at every single track. He always shows up. He doesn't have any weak circuits. Right, he's won 1 or 2 races at a certain track. He's won more races at one track than he has.
Well, the thing is, John. I mean, the thing is, he's only been in Formula 2 for 1 year. Mick Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton's been in Formula 1 since 2007. So that's 12 years, something like that. 13. I think it's his 13th season in Formula 1. So obviously he's been there every year, and he's actually won every single year, which I think is pretty amazing. So obviously Lewis Hamilton's got used to being in Formula 1 for that long. Mick Schumacher, obviously, it's his only season in Formula 2, and for a lot, not every driver, because obviously, as you were saying there, a lot of drivers like Nick de Vries, like Sean Gillisle, have been in Formula 2 for a good few seasons now. And Formula 2 for a few drivers, people like George Russell, Stoffel Van Dorn, it just feels like Charles Leclerc. It feels like a bit of like we go there for 1 season or 2 seasons, and then we move on to Formula 1. But that's not the same for everyone. So I think I think a lot of people think that Formula 2 for Mick Schumacher is just going to be like a one-stop shop. He's going to skate through Formula 3 like he did. Obviously well done to him. But then he's going to skate through Formula 2 and he's going to win the World Championship within 1 season and then go into Formula 1, and it doesn't work like that. It might do. Obviously we've seen people like Charles Leclerc, Stoffel Van Dorn, it's worked for them, but it's not always going to work for that, because obviously there is a lot of drivers who've been in there for a good few seasons, and for sure they won't want to stay there. They'll want to get to Formula 1 or something, or move on to another type of motorsport. Yeah. If you're there for a few seasons, it's probably unlikely that you're going to make it to Formula 1. That's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But there still is motor racing ventures out there for them to do. But yeah, I'm saying that Mick Schumacher, he might, if he doesn't stay there, if he stays there for 1 season, because I'll tell you something, John, come December, the end of the Formula, well, no, I don't know when the Formula 2 season ends, just say December when the F1 season ends. When it comes to that, and Mick Schumacher is in 3rd place of the championship, he hasn't won, and he's in Formula 2 for the next season with Prima Racing, I reckon a lot of people will change their minds and change their stories, and they'll think Mick Schumacher.
Definitely. I think
it won't die down.
I think once, obviously, like now everyone's in uproar because yes, he's driving a Ferrari. Yeah, all right, that's good. Yeah. Yes, he's testing Formula 1. It's like a brand new season. But once he starts getting a results like just like maybe a 5th or 6th, maybe challenging for a race win, it's going to be like, all right, Schumacher did okay. Quiet. Oh, Schumacher's quiet. And then it'll just level out until he wins, and then we'll be back again going, oh, Schumacher world champion, he's won 1 race because he got lucky because 2 guys in front of him broke down. That's how it's going to be.
So with Formula 1, I was just going to make a comparison quickly. With Formula 1, so Esteban Ocon obviously is in Mercedes at the moment. Let's be fair, he had a good season in Formula 1 when he was there. I remember his best season was with Manor in 2016, I want to say, at the end. And he finished 18 races in points. I think it was Brazil the next year that actually failed. I remember that was absolutely incredible. It was okay with Force India, and then obviously he was most likely best known for his collision with Max last year. Then obviously he comes out of Formula 1, changes team, obviously swaps, gives the Force India Racing Point drive to Lance Stroll as his dad buys the team, and then he goes into Mercedes reserve driver role. Now, when Toto Wolff was getting interviewed last year, he would always say things like, Esteban Ocon, we're getting him ready for 2020, and you're like, what? It's like Lewis Hamilton's, he's in the team, he's 5, going for 6. Valtteri Bottas is there, he's mean, he's already won a race this year. So I'm like, Esteban Ocon 2020, so what if I know you're the CEO, you can do whatever you want with your business, but you've already decided that Esteban Ocon is going to drive your car for next year in Formula 1. Well, what about the 2 existing drivers you have? And to be honest, there might be more to it, but that's confused me a little bit when people talk about Esteban's 2020 seat and what's Toto Wolff doing with him and blah blah blah. So I'm like, I don't want that to be how Mick gets into Formula 1.
I think he'll send Ocon elsewhere because obviously Bottas. He obviously, yes, I know it is only 2 races, but once let's say the Bottas hype train has died down a bit, which he kind of did the bar in a little way. And let's say obviously once he calms down a bit, and then once he's like not doing the results again, the whole Ocon thing will come about. I guarantee that Mick Schumacher's name will be there because he's got connections with Mercedes, and Mercedes wanted him in their driver academy as well.
Yeah, sorry. They've already. That's the thing though. They've already decided that Ocon's going to be driving. That's the thing that I'm saying is, and I know that Mick Schumacher has contacts, and obviously I know how that's. That's how it works. But he's been testing for Ferrari, he's been testing for Alfa Romeo, and I hope that race 5, race 6 of this season, news doesn't come out that okay, let's just have a guess. It's just a guess here, guys. But let's say that Antonio Giovinazzi for Alfa Romeo, he's going to be replaced by Charles Leclerc for next season. And we're only at round 5, round 6, Spain, Monaco, and we've got to go the entirety of the season knowing that he's going to be replaced. That this is going to happen a little bit like Esteban Ocon's 2020 because I'm thinking it's like, I don't know the full story, but he's going to be driving for Mercedes. that's the story that's coming out of Bradley and Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. They've got to go about their life knowing that Esteban Ocon is there. He's like a bee just buzzing around them. You don't know when he's gonna. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen with him. Anyway, so I mean that's the kind of comparison that I hope that doesn't happen. That when Mick Schumacher's ready, it's a normal driver transfer. It's just done normally. It's nothing out of the ordinary is going to happen with him. And just that little situation that we made there. Because just imagine if that happened, that we got news that Giovinazzi was going to be replaced, not even halfway through the season, and then it's like this is destroying Formula One. A driver who's been given his shot is now being replaced by someone who, okay, let's be fair, Formula One are idolising him, are favouritising him over, to get him into Formula One because of the name. But to be honest though, those tweets, I fully agree with them. Basically what we've been saying, give him time in F2, give him time to progress, give him time in Formula One. He's not, he is there for the name, only a little bit. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve any of the credit because he is a good driver, but just give him time, back off him a little bit. And to be honest, what I said, I don't think you should compare him to his dad. And I think, Bruno Senna, he was an okay driver. He didn't get the opportunity that he did. He only drove for Williams, and I'm saying not really a breakout team. That was probably his best opportunity. But even though his teammate did win a race in that season, the thing with him though, as we've just said, too much hype from his uncle Ayrton. So with Mick Schumacher, if you just back off a little bit, don't compare him too much to Michael, and give him time in F2, and just let him progress on his own, which I think could be the best thing, because not every driver in F2 is watched like a hawk like Mick is.
Exactly, because obviously, this is the name, and this is why a lot of media attention is on Mick again because of that name.
Yeah.
And it'll be annoying other drivers as well, because they'll be like, well, hang on a minute, I've been here longer, I'm doing just as good, why is he getting the limelight? But I suppose, if once they heard, Mick was going into Formula 2, they'll all be thinking, well, there goes our limelight, doesn't it, guys? I think they wouldn't expect it, definitely. So, now obviously we've discussed like Schumacher's youth career. Let's kind of like make a little bit of a prediction, just real quickly while we round off the episode. So, let's say Schumacher progresses into Formula One. How is he going to get there? Who's going to be with him? What's going to happen in the future? Pretty much asking the question: is Mick Schumacher going to be a future world champion? So, my prediction is going to be that what they should do rather is leave Schumacher in there for at least, like I said, 2 years, possibly 3. Just a little, maybe, I'd say at least 2, maybe 3 wouldn't be, the end of the world. He's 20 years old now, born in March 1999, so he'll be 20 years old now. So he'll be 21, 22? Plenty of time, to be able to make a name for yourself in Formula 1, even if it's only for 5-6 years, or maybe even less, it's still plenty of time. The team he'll be going with, more than likely, will be Alfa Romeo, because of their strong connection to Ferrari. So let's say, for example, that he's in there for 2 years, and the hype train, as I said, has just completely died down, right? Kimi Räikkönen's contract runs out at the end of 2020 at Alfa Romeo. There's rumours that he won't last the contract; he might quit after 1 year. But that's at this present time, Kimi is there until the end of 2020. So then you're thinking, right? So what's Kimi going to do, and who's going to fill that void? One of the most likely options now will be Mick Schumacher. So Mick will come into Alfa Romeo for 2021, which I would say would be an alright time, or probably the better time to bring him in, rather than 2020, where it's been predicted that we'll come to Formula 1. So I think we should get him in 2021, get him in Alfa Romeo. If he does replace Kimi, which might happen, might not, again, we'll see how it goes. Team unknown. Give him a couple of years at Alfa and see how he does, because he might completely flop. You know what I mean? He might just be absolutely abysmal. He might just leave Formula 1 altogether after one season. I think he'll get to the Alfa Romeo. Will he do a decent job? I think he might do an alright job. Again, it depends where Alfa Romeo are. It depends who's in the sport at this point. It depends who'll be at the top at this point, because obviously 2021 is when all the regulation changes. So anyone could be at the top. So Renault could be at the top. They might say, right, I'm going to cut ties with Ferrari. I'm going to go to Renault. Will he be with the top team? More than likely, yes. With who? I don't know. Ferrari, I don't know. Will Mercedes be still at the top by 2021? Maybe longer? I don't know. But I definitely know Mick Schumacher will definitely be in Formula 1 with the team, definitely. Will he be with the top team? Yes, I think he will. And again, that's going to be more down to the name if he doesn't prove himself. So let's say he doesn't prove himself and he does get a big drive. That's only because he's called Schumacher. But if he does get a drive and he's earned it, then alright, fair enough, respect. Will he be world champion? Well, at the moment, I would say it's too early to call, because I don't know how he is, how he will be under the limelight of Formula 1. Because he could crumble it, he just could buckle and just be like, right, this isn't for me. I don't like this. I I'm not as good. Because it took Charles Leclerc about 4 or 5 races to get in the swing of things, because a lot of attention was on him when he came to Formula 1 for the first time, and everyone was like, oh god, he's not really that good. But obviously the car wasn't really up to spec as well. But once Azerbaijan came around, he had a decent result. I think he scored points in that race for the first time. That's when the consistency kind of kicked in, and then the car got better, and as the car got better, Leclerc got better. So, and I think that could be the same with Schumacher as well. Once he learns Formula 1, once he understands it, I think he'll get better. I'm not saying it's going to be like, he'll be absolutely brilliant. If he does get to Formula 1 and does get with a big team, will he win races? Yes, I think he'll win a handful of races. Will he win a championship? I really don't know. It's very, very early to call. Might do another episode, in the next, in the next few months or so, depending on how it goes. Maybe next year, who knows? But at this moment in time, at the moment, I'll pretty much say yes or no, definitive answer. I would say, will Mick Schumacher be a world champion in the future? No, my opinion. That's my overall opinion. Lyle, what's yours? What do you think about Mick in Formula 1?
Well, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limit, and I'm going to say that Haas, he's going to sign for Haas. Now, the reason I'm saying that is 2 reasons. One, obviously, because Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean, even though they've been doing a consistent job, they haven't been getting big results for that team, and there's buzz around Haas that basically they need to really step up their game, and they don't want to be a midfield team. They really want to be one of the teams at the front. And the second reason is, and I saw this rumour, and I've seen this rumour circulating. That's right. Since the change, obviously, from Sauber to Alfa Romeo, and that is the fact that they might not be using Ferrari engines in the future, and that they're trying to get a deal, especially for 2021 when the regulations change. They're trying to work with their home team, obviously Italian car manufacturer Alfa Romeo, to create Alfa Romeo as a manufacturing engine team as well. And also as well, I feel like they are a good team to work from, but I feel like they're just not as high up on the grid. If Schumacher does win the World Championship, I think that would be a great drive for him. But as of current time in Formula 2, he's driving for Ferrari in testing. He probably will be driving, I think, is it Silverstone the next test, then you have a test in Abu Dhabi, and then obviously like the young drivers test through the year. He's also the Ferrari F1 reserve driver. Obviously, we've seen people like Esteban Gutierrez, Jules Bianchi, fill that seat in the past, Felipe Massa. So I feel like him driving in Formula 2 at the moment for Prima, obviously a Ferrari team, and Ferrari reserve driver is great for him. Learn the ropes with Ferrari as well as progressing in Formula 2. Don't jump the gun. Give him a few seasons, and to be honest, I agree with you, John. 2021 would be a great time to move him in. Let's say my theory, he goes with Haas. Will he win races? Yes, he will, and I think it would be really great. And I've got to say, I think the first race, yes, it is a little bit like the name, even though we think it's not the best thing. We are going to be swayed towards the name because it's Schumacher. It's massive. It's like, to be honest, it is when Ronaldo's son gets into Formula 1, when he gets into football and he plays for Juventus, or he plays for Real Madrid, or he plays for Manchester United, Ronaldo's former and current team, and he scores the first goal, it's going to blow everything up. Football's going to go mad over Ronaldo, even if you're a Messi fan, and you're probably going to even move off Messi's son. But yeah, anyway, so yes, obviously we're going to go mad when Schumacher wins his first race. It's just, unfortunately, it's what's going to happen, guys. But he will win races. He will do well, and again, like John said, will he win the championship? At the moment, I'm going to say no. The reason is because there's so much competition, and the thing is also it is the driver. We know that, for example, we've talked about Max and Pierre at Red Bull. Pierre is midfield, Max is at the top. That's a big gap compared to Ferrari, when they're both at the top, and so are Mercedes. And it is tight. Max is going for it. He needs a world championship. The hype of him is going down. And actually, Jordan, just one last thing for head back to you to close the show. I was going to say about the hype, and you were talking about Charles Leclerc, about the hype of him. Max Verstappen came into Formula 1 after the training place, which I've said about 1 billion times now on the channel since it started. He came to Formula 1, really strange move. He won in Spain. Fantastic. Max is the best thing since sliced bread. To be honest, Jordan, you can't deny it. I remember you going absolutely ballistic on the review. You thought he was the best thing since sliced bread.
I was on the hype train. I was the driver. I was the on that hype train. Seriously, I was. Yeah,
he definitely was. So again, guys, I'm talking about Hit Jordan as well. Yes, so Max Verstappen, best thing since sliced bread. Monaco rolls by the next week. He then crashes in qualifying. He then crashes in the race. Something that he did in the last year's race with Toro Rosso. And then he went on a really, really big dry patch of winning, and we all thought, what? Like, Max Verstappen is a big guy who we've just hyped up like mad, and now he's gone and he's gone and crashed. The hype for him went up and down, up and down, up and down. It was absolutely crazy. So I think just if Mick gets into Formula One, just leave the hype alone and just let him get on with his own thing. But anyway, yeah, that's my Formula One, where I think he'll end up Haas, but he has got a long road ahead of him, Jordan. But at the moment, Prima and Ferrari, I think is a great pairing for him. Keep watching him; he will turn out as a good driver. But yeah, honestly, I think the hype in the last few weeks has just got a little bit too much and kind of all excited, a bit like a kid at Christmas. The rumours of like what Santa Claus is going to bring you is like the rumours of Mick Schumacher. Oh my God, he's getting in Formula One. The second Schumacher. I mean, before Mick even gets into Formula One, he's already the names are already the most successful. Yeah. Mick doesn't even have to do anything. One win, one DNF, and he's already had a successful career. But like, just leave him alone a bit. The hype's got a bit too much. But yes, definitely watch the space, guys, because he is going to be a big thing in F1 and obviously in motorsport in general.
Well, to be fair, I think he does need to make. He will make a name for himself eventually on his own terms as well. But he'll either be Mick Schumacher, the Formula One driver, or Mick Schumacher, Michael Schumacher's son. That's either way it's going to go. But obviously, let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Are you a fan of Mick? Are you on the bandwagon, or are you not? Are you a bit like, I'm not a fan of his, or I'm just on the fence? Yes, I like him, but I'm not really a big follower like me and like Lyle as well. Because obviously, I think that yes, he is good, but he's not as good as what people are making him out to be, despite him being Michael Schumacher's son. But obviously, that's where I can wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for watching as well. It's been a long episode, a lot to talk about as well. Obviously, hope you have enjoyed it. Hope you have stayed throughout. And if you have, big round of applause for you as well. Obviously, just a quick thank you to everyone. Just a quick thank you to everyone who tweeted us as well. Obviously, you could just keep an eye out if any tweets about opinions and stuff that we will be discussing that on future episodes. Our social medias are below us as well. If you don't have Twitter, but you have Facebook, obviously just send us a message on Facebook about opinions as well. We'll probably post our opinions or a question on the Facebook page as well. Go and give us a like over there as well. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching as well. If you are new around here, please like and subscribe as well. And until next time, we shall see you later.
See you later, guys. Take care.